Hey guys, happy 2025. I'm so excited to be back with you in the new year. Perfect time for me to make 3 bold All Blacks predictions for the new year and an international rugby prediction, but I'm also going to run through my Rugby Awards for the past 12 months. Let's get right to it, guys. Let's start with the International Team of the Year. My award goes to the Springboks. Yes, they would have liked to have clean swept Ireland at home, but apart from that one game they dropped to the men in green and that one game in Argentina, it was a flawless season, and perhaps the end of year 2 was the most impressive part because they just rolled through the Northern Hemisphere without really hitting top gear. So ominous signs for 2025 for the Springboks. Can they keep it up? Are they going too heavily in this direction of building depth? Is it a little bit like the All Blacks in 2007 where we got a little bit confused about what our best starting 15 would be? Well, I think that Rassie Erasmus is a bit smarter than that. I think he's going to settle on his top 15, his top 23 very soon, and we're all looking forward to those clashes with the All Blacks in New Zealand. And let's stay on the Springbok theme. I am going to give Peter-Steph du Toit the International 15s Player of the Year. He was just a difference maker every time he was out there on the field. He gave it his all. So shout out to Peter-Steph, another blistering season, and I'd imagine the good form's going to continue. My 7th Player of the Year, I am going to give it to Antoine Dupont from France. Now look, there are probably better pure 7s players in the world, but you got to think about this like gymnastics. What is the degree of difficulty? He had to transition from just playing the 15 side code to 7s, very different rules, much more space, much different on attack, and he came home with Olympic gold. He was the talisman for that French team. So you really have to say he deserves that award for the 7th Player of the Year. Let's move on to the All Blacks, though. Who is my newcomer of the year? Well, of course, it's Wallace Satiti. Couldn't be anybody else. He absolutely made the blindside flanker jersey his own after there was a lot of confusion earlier in the year. We tried Dalton Papali'i. We kept going back to Ethan Blackadder, who did perform very well. I want to say that. He performed very well, but he has an injury-ravaged career. He has not proven that he has the resilience and longevity that his detractors would like to see from him. So Satiti might have locked in 6 if he isn't going to be playing at 8. That's going to be the big question mark for the All Blacks in the new year. And if you guys need some new All Blacks merch, don't forget to hit my link below. I am now an official affiliate for the All Blacks shop, which is very exciting. I just bought a new jersey from there myself. So hit that link, check out all the cool merch that they have. Treat yourself in 2025. For my All Blacks comeback of the year, I'm going to give it to Cam Roigard, the explosive number 9. Look, it seemed that his season was over when he ruptured his knee in Super Rugby, but he fought his way back, came back through NPC, went straight into the All Blacks 23 on the Northern Hemisphere tour, and it wasn't long before he was starting in Paris and upstaging Antoine Dupont, who I mentioned earlier. So incredible rapid return to form for Cam Roigard, clearly our number 1 halfback on the New Zealand depth chart. Cannot wait to see what 2025 has in store for him. For my back of the year, I'm going to go with Will Jordan. A little bit of a shaky start, but he really started to make the number 15 jersey his own. His finishing was superb. His distribution from the back was superb. His positional play cannot be better, and he has that magical top-end pace. You simply can't coach that. It is a God-given gift, for lack of a better term. I think that he is going to solidify his status as the premier fullback in World Rugby in 2025. He's my back of the year. My forward of the year, I'm going to give an honorable mention to Cody Taylor, who hit career best form, and particularly in South Africa. I mean, he just toiled manfully. He was one of the best in black out there. But I got to go back to Ardie Savea. Man, I mean, that guy just never stops. He came back from a stint in Japan, didn't really look like he'd missed a beat. Not only that, he provided invaluable leadership. You got to remember, he's a vice captain. So Scott Barrett was our skipper this year, but I feel that Ardie Savea as a leader, man, he is worth his weight in gold. And he is also going to be my overall All Black of the year. Man, what can you say about Ardie? He's simply the best. Now, in terms of picking an All Black unit that's the most valuable, in the past, you'd think it's probably the back 3. I mean, remember when we had Sitiveni Sivivadu, Joe Rokothoko, Doug Howlett, just absolutely we were spoiled for choice in the back 3. Well, that's how I feel now about my most valuable unit, the front row. That is just wonderful to say. Not always a position of extreme depth for the All Blacks, but now you've got Tamaiti Williams, you've got Pasilio Tosi, you've got Fletcher Newell, who's a rock-solid backup, and we haven't even mentioned the incumbents in 2024, Tyrell Lomax and Ethan de Groot, who may have fallen from favor, but still a great player. That is one hell of a bunch of props. You look at Cody Taylor finding career best form. You look at the rise of Asafo Amua. This front row unit might actually be the strongest individual unit in the overall All Blacks scheme. And that is incredibly pleasing to see, because we all know, if we watch this channel, that wins in Test rugby start up front. The best win of the year for the All Blacks was absolutely beating Ireland in Dublin. They were ranked #1 in the world. Yes, they're a little bit rusty, but I don't care what anybody says. That is one hell of a scalp to take, beating the men in green at home, plus showing that we had learned from earlier in the year, getting some good impact off our bench. That was the most satisfying win of the year. I'm going to give you the worst loss of the year, though, and that was the loss to Argentina in Wellington. Yikes. That absolutely burned. But heads did roll. Leon McDonald was gone not long after that, and it did actually seem like an inflection point for the All Blacks where they started to turn their season around. Yes, they did go down to the Springboks at home in South Africa, but there's not much shame in that, particularly given that the games were rather close. And the All Blacks finished the year on a high. So you have to think that they did take some lessons from that loss to Argentina. Nevertheless, a big black eye on the season. I think if the ABs had just won that game, or rather not lost it, because that was a classic example of self-inflicted wounds. You look at some of the silly backline antics that happened in the second half of that game. We kind of lost that game as much as Argentina won it, with full respect to Los Pumas. But if you look at learnings, we took them from that game. Had we won it, I think we'd all be feeling a lot better about the season, but we didn't get the job done. Now that brings me to my predictions for 2025. And it's about winning. I predict that Razor Robertson will have a better winning record in 2025 than he did in 2024. He hit 71%. I think we're glad not to see a 6 at the beginning of that number. I'm thinking he's going to be pushing for 80. I'm thinking that we are going to get a Springbok scalp at home. And I even think we've got the game to really hurt France playing at home next year. So predicting a better winning record for Razor this coming year. I'm going to predict that Richie Mo'unga will not be wearing black next year. I don't think there are going to be eligibility changes. I don't think he's going to come back a season early. I think we're going to have to wait till 2026 to see Richie running around in black. And here's the thing. If Damien McKenzie continues the form that we saw in Ireland on the end of year tour, it might not be a fait accompli that Richie slots back in as the preferred number 10. I think there could be a hell of a battle on our hands for that first 5'8" position, and absolutely nothing should make us happier as New Zealand fans. It's always best when there are 2 or 3 top quality players fighting for that number 10 jersey. My third prediction is that Rieko Ioane might find himself on the bench or on the wing by the end of 2025. I think that there could be a sea change coming. If you look at the centers, the individual talents there, Jordie Barrett's a good player. Rieko Ioane is a good player. Defensively, he is terrific. But are we getting enough from his distribution game? Could someone like a Lester Fainga'anuku come in with his ball carrying, with his impact on the gain line, with his good distribution? Could he change the pecking order in the All Blacks? Could someone like Billy Proctor, who is more of an out-and-out distributor, force his way in? We're going to see in 2025. But I'm going to make the prediction that Rieko Ioane is not safe in the number 13 jersey. Watch out for some changes in the centers this year for the All Blacks. And finally, I'm going to give you an international prediction. I think that the Lions will beat the Wallabies in their 3-test series, but I'm going to pick the Aussies to get up and win one of those games. So you heard it here first. Lions 2, Aussies 1. That's how I think the tour will go down in Australia. All right, guys, let me know your predictions for 2025 in the comments below. I'll be reading all of them. Can't wait to chat about it. Happy New Year. Wishing you guys all the best for a fantastic 2025. Catch you for another one real soon. Take it easy. Bye for now.